Set.
This meeting is being recorded.
And I've got it. The rubbish bin people are just going around through right now, but hopefully you won't pick up the noise.
Hello, welcome to your weekly podcast on everything disability. Today, we're joined by David Cunningham.
Hello, everybody.
And we're pleased to be joined by the Deputy Chair of the ACCC.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, Delia. How are you?
Hi, David. Lovely to talk.
Fantastic. And look, we appreciate you doing this afternoon today, actually. And look, before we begin, just a little bit about yourself, if you could, and when you actually told us something when you became the first deputy chair of the ACCC. That's very exciting. We're very pleased to have you here.
I'm very pleased to be here. I've been at the ACCC on and off now for well over 15 years, and we do a broad range of work, but the scams work is the part that most has my heart.
Right. And so like, have you been the first deputy chair for a while now?
Look, I've been deputy chair. We have two of them. I'm what they call the consumer deputy chair. So my job is to make sure we look after consumers well. And I've been here this time since 2012.
Excellent. And so you're really passionate public servant, aren't you?
I am. I love it. I'm proud to be a public servant. I get upset when people are rude about public servants, because I think most people who work in the public service are trying to do the right thing by the community.
We agree with you. We do agree with that. Okay. So how would the ACCC or the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission then actually consider or to qualify as being a scam? What would qualify as a scam in your guys' point of view?
There's no official definition of scams, but I think of scams as when somebody tricks you out of either your personal information or your money.
Right.
Steal your money and steal your personal information.
Right. So they can vary then, right?
They can vary a huge amount. And we even see some scams where the victim does nothing at all, but the scammer manages, for instance, to port their telephone number and then commit scams. So they are getting increasingly sophisticated and difficult to spot.
Wow. Okay, and so I guess the ACCC's work would be quite detailed, then, wouldn't it? And of course, it would include Scamwatch as well. So, I mean, can you tell us a bit of the scope of what the ACCC actually does on a regular basis in the commission? What's the scope of your work that you guys do with and especially regard to Scamwatch? We're curious to know about that.
I'll give you the big picture, then get into the scam side.
So fantastic.
The ACCC, the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, is responsible for making markets fair. So that means ensuring that markets and businesses act competitively, they don't act anti-competitively, and protecting consumers, and including protecting us from unsafe products. And we also do something known as regulating monopolies. Monopolies is when you have just one business and no competition, so they can charge whatever they like. And we try to keep those charges at a sensible level and not let them rip off people basically. But the
Right.
scams work we do is really interesting. We ask people who've been exposed to a scam, even if they aren't a victim of a scam, to let us know about it. And with the information people provide us, we do a few things. We use the information to warn others about the scams that are around and how to avoid them. We also take the data we get and we try to disrupt scams, because most scammers are overseas. So traditional policing doesn't work as well. But for instance, we share scam phone numbers with the telcos so that they can block them. We scam bank account numbers with the banks so that they can make sure that money doesn't go to those accounts. We share intelligence with a range of, with social media, with banks and others, so everyone can get better at identifying scams and stopping them, because we
Yeah.
really need a whole of the community response if we're ever going to beat scams.
Yeah, and that's right. And so like, I mean, would the ACCC actually be aware of the actual percentage of scam victims who actually like identify as having a disability within that?
We've run the numbers on this. We got asked about it the other day too, because we've been doing a bit of work around disability. Around about 8% of victims, give or take a little bit depending upon when we do test the data, around about 8% of scam victims have a disability.
Wow. And I guess the suffering there would be quite intense for some of us, wouldn't it?
Look, it is really, really terrible. I think some of the worst cases we see of people with disability are those with an intellectual disability who get caught up in romance scams and lose their money and have their hearts broken.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just on that enforcement activity of the commission, and what type of enforcement actions would you be taking to actually combat the actual toll that scams actually take or actually have on people with disabilities? What were the types of actions that the commission would do regarding enforcement of stopping scams? Would that be a part of the role of the consumer protection side of the ACCC?
We don't do a traditional policing role, mainly because the scammers are overseas, but we do give intelligence to the police so that they can catch scammers. What we do is we seek to disrupt scams to stop them. And there's three parts to this. First of all, we try to stop the scammers reaching consumers in the first place. So we do a lot of work with the telcos, with social media, so they get better at identifying scams and stopping them before they reach people. Then the second part of what we do is we try to make people aware of how to recognize scams and how to avoid them and how to protect themselves. And then the final part of the puzzle, because many of us will become a victim to scams because they're very hard to recognize, is working with the banks and others to try and ensure that the money doesn't go to the scammers, that even if the consumers started to part with that they stop it going to the scammers and people get their money back.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And so you'd be working with like the Australian federal police, or would you guys be working with them at all?
We have been working with the Australian Federal Police, and they had a great action last year. There was a scam around called FluBot, which affected people who had Android phones, so any phone that wasn't an Apple phone. And you would get a text message saying there was a parcel, you needed to click here to get it. They had a lot of excuses, but they got you to click a link and it downloaded something called malware onto your device, which then gave them access to your passcodes, your banking, etc.
Wow.
And this, it was terrible. And we've never had so many complaints about one scam as we did with that. We shared all our information with the federal police. The federal police joined up with overseas policing agencies, because this had also gone through all of Europe and the UK. And earlier this year, they caught the culprits and put an end to the scam. So sometimes traditional law enforcement does work.
That's fantastic. really is good news to know that. Yeah, because these things actually are really, really pressing, and it's important that we actually have that the cooperation and collaboration between agencies to actually have these issues actually dealt with, isn't it? It's key that collaboration, isn't it, within the commission and the police and other agencies to combat the rated scams, isn't that? I mean, wouldn't you agree, Delia?
I think it's very important. And to the extent we have scammers who are located in Australia, the police have been putting a lot more resources into catching them. So we've seen quite a few local scammers caught as well by police recently.
Fantastic. So just on the price that is paid by the victims and their families, I mean, that'd be rather an intensive experience for some of them, wouldn't it? Because I mean, scams have such a huge toll on people's like psychology and their mental health and their stress levels, etc., and their family structures too, wouldn't it? So, and would there be a huge price paid at all with that, Delia?
David, you are so right. There is a huge price. People lose confidence in the online world, and we all need to interact on that these days. They lose a sense of trust. People feel embarrassed. And some people's whole lives are thrown into chaos because they lose all their money. We see scams where people don't just lose the money they have in the bank, they've mortgaged their house, they lose all of that. And if it's been a scam where they really believed in what they were doing and they've told friends and family to get involved too, they may also lose friends and family. So the impact of these scams, especially romance scams, are truly terrible, unfortunately.
I mean, just on that, with the ACCC actually will be looking at having some sort of like community engagement and like education programs for people as to how to actually like raise awareness amongst consumers of how to actually lift their knowledge and understanding of scams so they can actually be better prepared for that type of things happening in their lives. Would that be an area that the Commission would actually be working on or not?
That is something we work on every day in lots of different ways. So me talking to you right now is part of our education piece. Our main website, scamwatch.gov.au, has great information, and you can sign up for emails that give you all the latest information about scams. Plus, the scams team will often go out and do presentations to community groups, including groups for people with disability, and talk to them about what we're seeing and how to avoid being scammed.
Fantastic. That's already good news to know, because I mean here at CripChat Australia, we actually value that information, distribution, and we value the idea of spreading knowledge and inside across, and it's really important for us to be part of that journey as well. So it's really important we actually can have that within the Friends Society. Like now just in relation to the recent Optus data breach, how do you think best Optus customers who actually have disabilities could actually be better equipped to actually handle such incidents for them in the future, with regard to the Optus issue that was of late?
The thing about the Optus data breach is that consumers haven't done anything wrong. They have to provide data to get their account, and that has been stolen. But there are things we can all do to protect ourselves from scams. So having good antivirus software on our computers is important, and strong passwords, even though they're a pain. For things like your bank account, set small transaction limits so people can't take too much out, and have something known as multi-factor authentication, which means, for instance, if you're paying a new person, before the payment will go through, you'll get an SMS on your phone to confirm that you want to pay that person. Remembering not to click on links is important, really important. If you're worried about identity theft, people are entitled to a free credit reference report every 3 months. and that will tell you if anyone's been opening accounts in your names. And there's lots of great information at scamwatch.gov.au to help you know how to better protect yourself.
Always good to get in the plugs, right, Delia? It's very important.
It is.
Got to
It's
always
an
put in the
important
plugs.
address. I don't
Like,
get paid for it.
Well, I know that's fine. Like now, I mean, just out of our interest, though, Delia, I mean, what do you find the best part of your job is as first deputy chair of the ACCC, the commission? What do you like the most about your job?
I love everything about my job. I'm very lucky. I like doing things like this. I like meeting new people who are interested in caring and getting the word out there about how to protect yourself. I like our enforcement committee, where we decide whether we're going to take action against someone who's done the wrong thing, and working with the teams who do such great work, identifying problems and then taking them to court. I enjoy our product safety work. So one of the good things we've just done in product safety is, well, a couple of important things. One is make quad bikes safer, and there have been so many terrible accidents of quad bikes with people dying or being permanently disabled as a result of it, and a lot of new safety rules that will protect children, particularly around button batteries. So I'm lucky. I have an interesting job where I like to think we're trying to do good every day.
Okay, and then also the flip side, what's the worst bit of your job? Just out of interest, so we know.
Oh, look, there's some bits I'm just not very good at. Some of the very economics bits, things like something called the WACC, which I had to Google the first time I saw it. That's not my skill set. But luckily, we've got others who are very good at it, so they don't need me for it.
Okay, and of course, finally, do you have are there any positions within or ways that people with disabilities can actually be part of the committee processes of the ACCC at all? Do you have any mechanisms for for community representatives to actually serve with you guys in the commission at all?
We certainly employ a number of people with disability, and we have consultative.
Really?
Yeah, we do.
Fantastic. We should speak to one of them.
Yeah, and it's very much one of our goals is to make sure that we represent the whole community, including those with disability. We have a range of consultative committees. We don't have a specific one on disability. However, we do have people on those committees who are close to disability communities and who will talk. But we reach out, and we've gone and met with disability community groups and talked about what are the things you think we need to be doing. And as a result of one of those meetings, for instance, now every year when we do our targeting scams report, we have a whole section on people with disabilities, so we can track that, and we now ask questions about it so we can track it. So we're always trying to do better in this space.
Wonderful. And of course, just finally as well, do you have any further advice you'd like to actually offer to our audience on how they can actually better prepare themselves and equip themselves to navigate the world of preventing themselves from being a victim of a scam at all?
I think at the end of the day, we spend so much of our lives online. Scammers can pretend to be anyone. So you have to be skeptical and wary. And if you're not sure about something, just hang up, hit delete. If you think it might be right, but you're not sure, contact the organisation they say they are. And remember, never click on links, never give someone remote access to your computer, and be on guard. Unfortunately, we're a society that needs trust to function, but we need to be a little less trusting.
Absolutely. And look, Julia, thank you for joining us on CripChat Australia. And look, we appreciate you being part of us. And please keep in touch with us if you ever have a channel or wish to come on the podcast again. Make sure you keep in touch with us and let us know, because we'll be keen to actually have you on again. If you ever wish to pop on the podcast again, you're most welcome to.
I will tell our media that. And Jonathan and David, it's been really lovely spending time with you. I've enjoyed it. So thank you.
Thanks, Delia. Thanks for joining us.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. Hopefully that's all that. And if you need anything from us, just get in contact. We're always happy to help, okay?
Absolutely.
Have a good day. Take
Thanks,
care.
Delia.
Ciao.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.